Welcome to another episode of AI Powered Career Edge. And today I'm really excited to have Christian Wolff, who I met recently. And his enthusiasm for AI and what it can be used for and the possibilities is really contagious. He's an AI optimist for sure. And I wanted everyone else to be able to meet him and learn from his journey. So, welcome, Christian, to this episode.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you for the invitation. It pays to answer some of those LinkedIn cold calls sometimes. I make a new friend and do something out of my comfort zone. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Sure does.
Again, as introducing myself, I'm Christian Wolff. I've been doing high tech work for the past 30 years, and I've been managing folks doing that, engineers and the like, for the last 15. So my current role is a senior engineering manager at a construction engineering company. And so it's just a different role that I've done before, but one that's been really cool because the company is very pro AI. And I might not have been as gung-ho about it if the company wasn't doing it. So that's been kind of cool.
Now you're well-versed and you're in it. You are kind of converting other people to the AI way and showing people their the possibilities. But I'm sure it wasn't always like that. Yeah. You kind of dove into it, or did you kind of slowly step into it? Or what was your journey when you first, because essentially a lot of even technology folks were kind of apprehensive by getting into it because they wanted to understand the technology first. They wanted to wait and see. And non-technical folks, definitely, they're some of them are intimidated. They think you need to be able to code to be able to use AI, and they can't seem to get past just the prompting piece. So how did you learn to do AI, not just about AI, but to use AI?
Right. That's a great question. I, through my life, have not been the early adopter, whether it was the latest iPhone or BlackBerry back in the day. I was always a generation behind. So I'm kind of a wait and see by nature. I don't always get bought into the hype. And I thought, oh, this is just the latest, another hype thing. Maybe it's like another internet bubble going back way back. So that was kind of how I approached it. But I could see, and I was paying attention to stories. I was starting to hear some enthusiasts from engineering peers at my company. Hey, this is kind of cool. Hey, look at Copilot's going to be with GitHub. These were kind of some of the early things happening roughly 4 years ago when they were just kind of coming onto the scene. I worked at a company that did financial services, and they were basically saying, we're not going to let our company firewall have access to it. So I wasn't able to use it for work, but I did put it onto my phone and I started playing with it just for fun. What could it do for me? So start off maybe just, hey, generate me a meme of this. And then I would cut and paste that and maybe share it.
And this was ChatGPT?
Yeah, I was using ChatGPT. I didn't really know about the others that were evolving at the time. Chat seemed to occupy all the headlines. So I had ChatGPT, started an account and just played with it for fun. Hey, do this. Oh, look at this, is kind of fun. Hey kids, look, let's make a story and make a bedtime story out of just a few prompts. It was a lot of things like that, just kind of poking at what could it do. And I found it did a lot very easily. And I was, this is impressive. A year ago, in a different company now, we had a company courting us with an AI product. And it was the first time I encountered hallucinations. And that term hallucinations, because I figured what is printing me obviously can't be wrong, but it was just mixing all kinds of stuff up based on keyword. And I was asking the company, did you even proofread this before you presented it back to us? Because this is blatantly wrong. And they were kind of sheepish. No, we didn't. We just kind of trusted it. And then I kind of started to have my radar up. Oh, it's not always right. It's not all knowing. In fact, it lies very confidently to you,
And very politely.
Yeah, very politely. And, when you catch it in a lie, oh, obviously got it right. So that was kind of an interesting, eye-opening that, okay, it can be wrong. It's frequently wrong. It's still learning, even though it's very smart, it's lacking certain things. So there's still some element to human wisdom and discernment that is very much needed in this process. But yeah, so played around with it personally. And I'll say I had my aha moment just this year with it. The current company I'm working for gave us access to more powerful language models. And I had the ability to unlock something in my brain that's been stuck up there for a long time, an idea, kind of an invention for the company. Like, I want to do this type of software to solve a need in the industry. But it's going to be a full stack application with a mobile, a mobile face to it. At my stage in my career managing people, I don't have all those skills to go build that app. I know what I want. I don't know how to go do it. I don't have the time to go learn the languages to do it. Can I go hire a team? Can I get my team to do it, coerce them to do it? Typically what I was doing is I was hiring interns like for the summer, giving them summer projects for like my pet projects. And so that's how I was getting stuff done in the prior years. But this year, I just started a conversation with Claude and started just working with it. And I started to build and prototype what was stuck in my head for well over a year. I described to everybody what I wanted. I just couldn't go build it. I started building it. I had working wireframes. I had working prototypes. I had a pitch deck. I was, and I actually pitched it to our senior leadership. And it is an idea we are going to keep moving forward with for the company. Now, that would have been hard to do before. Maybe I could have just made a PowerPoint presentation and really tried to pitch it from there. I have done that before. But this was getting better, working prototypes that literally probably could start to extract the code from and become the first version of the application. So that was super powerful. And now that has been like, everyone's got to be doing this. You've got to unlock what's in your brain.
Yeah. And in our last conversation, you did mention an app that you created outside of work too, and how you got it up and running so quickly and how useful it was. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, exactly. So even in my personal life, my daughter rides horses, and this is a problem I'm seeing potentially with a lot of horse barns. So I'm going to give it away what I'm doing. So if you hear this, here it is. Okay. But anyways, essentially you have to schedule appointments. You have people, riders that are connecting to horses. The horses have a lot of properties, like what skill levels they are, how often have they been ridden that day, are they down with an injury, or do they need veterinary care? There's a lot of things about a horse that need to be known. There's a lot of things about a rider that needs to be known. And then you need to marry these two together on weekly cadences, maybe for recurring lessons and things like that. But right now, the particular barn where my daughter is has to do this all by hand. And so it's all trapped up in the scheduler's head, and they know all the horses, they know all the riders, but it's a lot of text and calls. If any rider needs to change or if a horse pulls up lame, it's a big deal. How much easier it'd be just to have a mobile app, be able to access all that, to see the schedules, to be able to tell the riders what horses they're going to be, to print it out, put it out on the bulletin board. Here's today's schedule. These horses are going out at these times. So everything could just be more scheduled. Again, just going into Claude and talking about it and saying, this is what I want to do. This is how I want it to present itself, really specifying all the things. These are the properties. How could I host this in AWS so that, again, we could use a cheaper, freer account of some sort to do this. We don't want to necessarily cost a lot of money, but maybe I could turn it into a paying model at some point, but really just to privately solve the problem for my daughter and her barn. So that has been really cool. And again, something I can see a real world problem. I can invent a solution applying software and technologies that I'm very familiar with, but I haven't been able to be the one who does all the coding. I've led teams to build these applications. I have seen the source code, but I myself am not an expert in it. But if I can tell it what I want, it will write the source code for me. I could read it and go, yeah, that looks good. That looks right. Again, if it's going to be more financial burdensome, code that needs financial scrutiny and things like that, I'm going to be a lot more. But something like a scheduling app, pretty basic, pretty easy. And
so from the time, Christian, you thought, I'm really curious about this. From the time you thought about the idea about this scheduling app to executing on it, which means building and figuring out the code and then figuring out where to host it, from that to by the time it was ready to use, how long did that take?
Roughly 3 hours.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So it's in like one afternoon and one
afternoon.
You're able to solve a problem that
sitting on the couch watching a movie while kind of watching the movie in the background and sitting on my Mac and interacting with it, right? And just and pushing that out. It's again, it's really that easy. You can do a lot in a short amount of time. Now, of course, I had thought about the problem a lot beforehand. So it's just about getting that project out of my head into the computer and then asking its, what do you think about this? What would you do to improve this? How can I make this more robust? Again, knowing that this does not need to be something that I'm going to, be super a backup and all that stuff. I want just some of the basics again. But again, I can get something very basic out a couple hours. It's not involving days and weeks, and it doesn't have to become your full-time job to do something like this.
And of course, it can give you, and it can also do the marketing for you. It can give you a marketing strategy, how to promote it, where to promote it, and all of that as well, and track the metrics behind it, which is fabulous. And so if you wanted to take it to the next level, you could. Maybe another 3 hours, another movie in an afternoon. You can have that too and start selling this thing. That's amazing. So, Christian, as a career strategist, I come across people in mid-career
Yep.
who don't know what to do with AI. In the sense that, all right, you prompt, you have ChatGPT, you have Claude, for the basics. I'm prompting it to do some cool stuff. I'm getting some advice, but really they don't take it as seriously. Either they don't take it seriously, or they think that it'll be too much of a technical learning curve for them to make it do anything at work, to apply it at work. I give the example of, I know a very senior person in on the legal team of a major healthcare system, and she hasn't touched AI. Very accomplished. It's not about IQ. Very smart. Hasn't touched AI. So there are all sorts of barriers. What advice would you give to someone who's had some work experience, maybe mid-career, and just hasn't done anything meaningful with AI? What would you tell them?
Yeah, I think the first thing is again, you have to have an idea, something that you'd want to get an answer to. Maybe it's something you already know an answer to and you want to test it to see how good it is. I think a lot of people think it's just Google 2.0. And I think even in the beginning, I probably treated ChatGPT like Google, because we've all become experts over the last 2 decades on how to get your Google request pretty good so that the first or second answer given is the link you want. So keywords and stuff. Turning it into a conversation, I think that is a big change. That having a conversation with ChatGPT, instead of typing, maybe just turn on your mic and talk to it and let it transcribe your voice to it. Have a conversation, let it come back to you. I think prompt engineering, that's kind of something that wasn't really talked about and is not well known. But as I've been leading my engineers on my team who have been a little hesitant, one thing I assigned to them is prompt engineering. Go take a class off a Pluralsight in prompts. There's a lot of them out there, but we're going to do this. Go figure out what to even start with and ask, how to help constrain the answers or to give it back in ways you want. Some people don't like all the verbose and the bullets. Just send it to me straight. Keep it within one screen, because I don't want to scroll for days to see your answer, right? There's different things you can do to condition the AI agent to give it in a way that you like it back. And so I think those types of things that we could teach the people who are hesitant, just as starters. Because if you ask something small, it gives a lot. Oh, that's too much. That's overwhelming. I'm overwhelmed. I'm already overwhelmed with the technology. Now I'm overwhelmed with the information coming back to me. Starting small. And so that would be my recommendation there.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. To me, I think of it as, first you start off with, tell me this, and then you go to do this for me, and then you go to do this for me and that for me at the same time, or do this for me and that for me, and take the output from that thing, and then create this thing for me. So there's a big shift between tell me this, treating it like Google 2.0, to do this for me. And the do this for me is really the where the power comes in my view. And you can do this for me because it could be as complex as you want it to be. You mentioned interns earlier. So you're in an afternoon, 3 hours while watching a movie, you can create an app. What would you say to people who want to be interns or are interns or entering the workforce relative to AI? What would you say?
Yeah, this has been interesting because up until the last year or two, we would typically look for interns or recent college graduates to kind of get them to cut their teeth. We'll give them a project. It's not necessarily going to be the most important thing on the team, but it's something to give them some ownership and get into a programming language, one they maybe learned from school or one they're going to have to learn new on the job. But the point is there's going to be touching, writing code in a language. I see now, obviously, the cost to generate code is very cheap now. This is something that AI is very good. So actually, I've been having thoughts about, like, wow, what about those coming out of coding boot camps or coming right out of even a 4-year institute or 4-year college with a bachelor's degree in computer science? Whoa, AI just ate their job, kind of. So I would like to see, again, colleges actually give a focus on teaching their students how to use AI. In general, it's been do not use AI in our college because we want you to have original thought. But they're going to need it when they enter the workforce right away. So you might as well embrace it and use it. So I think my message to those coming out would be learn how to use it, learn how to use the various models, learn how to generate code. The thing you will be lacking is that wisdom and discernment that comes with time. junior engineers are going to be able to generate a lot of code and not understand a lot of it. They'll see that it might work. They might build a prototype, but they may not know that we should not go put that code in production, because there could be a lot of other things. So I definitely think there's going to be need for those higher level engineers, and we can get to that in a moment, that they're going to need to be involved to let this code enter the environment.
Yeah. And maybe the role of the intern or the early career technologist is to create something that would be kind of the foundation for a more complex app. Create the foundation, make sure there's some security implications, some compliance implications, but not perfect. And it's still in an isolated environment, not going outside anywhere. And then present that to the senior software engineers, and then build it out from there. So there's that human loop. The one thing that if they don't learn to use AI to develop that foundation, or that stub, if you will, is speed. So the people who won't be able to use AI to do it, they just won't be able to do it fast enough. I think the standard for velocity and speed will go up exponentially. 3 hours in the course of an afternoon, that's what it takes. So if the senior software engineer tells you to turn something around or build something, you need to be able to do it very quickly. And maybe you need to be able to build a few foundations or stubs for a few applications within an afternoon. It's not just one, maybe it's 3, and then you experiment and you build that from there. So that's what velocity is what I think you'd be losing out on if you don't figure this out.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is almost every day you don't do it, you're not falling behind a day, you're falling behind 3 days. It's really like an exponential curve that the AI usage and knowledge is on. And it's going to 24/7 when we're not. So
and the bars are going to get raised, and the standards are going to get raised. And then, of course, as a junior person, you don't have to get it exactly right. But I think what you will get evaluated on is, did you think of this? Did you consider this? Did you prompt it to look for these guardrails or to put these guardrails in? And if you don't, that's where the differentiator will come in between you and somebody who did actually think of that. So I am still optimistic about the future of the early career person coming into the workforce. They just need to adjust what their standards are, and adjust the speed and the considerations that they need to have to build in a lab environment. And they need to be given that safety to build in that lab environment. So I'm still optimistic that will happen. The mid-career folks, you had some great advice. I think the ones who do pivot to become the human loop in all of this, and raise the bar, raise the standards, will still do well. I think the ones who wait and see, unfortunately, are probably on the wrong side of this whole shift. So,
yeah,
Christian, thank you so much for spending time with me today. Learned a lot from you. It's inspirational, actually, to think about how you dove into this. And usually, managers of software engineers, the ones who've stepped away from the code, if you will, I've seen are not the early adopters, but you are a little different. You are actually stepping back into that world of building things.
Yes.
And this AI ability has made you do a kind of like a boomerang back into building, and that's super exciting.
Yes, exactly. Again, things that have been locked up in my brain and ideas that I might never be able to get out, I can do now. And so it is really exciting. And so again, encourage everyone who sees this to give it a try. Hit us up. We're both on LinkedIn. We'd be happy to have a conversation with you.
Thanks so much, Christian. Thanks everybody for listening.